Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London, and I'm this morning looking at a publication from Edward Elgar Publishing Limited, which is a family business looking very much at academic publications, and they've actually had quite a large number of publications covering China. And this is one which we had a look at, and we've written a review. That's my wife and I have written a review about this book, which is called Cybercrime. We'll look at the book in a minute. It's got a subtitle, In the Greater China Region, and it's regulatory responses and crime prevention across the Taiwan Strait. And it's been written by Lennon, Yao-Chung, Chang. Now, the point about this book, and this is actually the book itself, it's only a small book. You can see the back of it there, and the book itself is only running to something like 250 pages. That's the index you've got right at the back. Then you've got very detailed references, because this is effectively a highly academic book in many ways. And at the front you've got the contents there. Then you've got a list of figures and tables. Then you have a foreword, which is actually very well written. It's been written by Peter Grabowski, and you can see his name appearing there. Then you have preface and acknowledgements by the author, and then it's split into various parts, which is set out in the content, setting the scene, and then it moves on. You do have some small numbers of footnotes on the sides, but you do have paragraph numbering, which I think is very important. For instance, in the middle of it here, you can see how the paragraph numbering almost resembles a bit of a report. This is a very interesting book. Obviously, there's quite a lot of Chinese in it as well, but it gives you a pretty good idea of some of the problems. For instance, this is the wiki crime prevention points that are made, and it is of course a highly detailed book. Now our review, and I'm not going to go into too much detail on the review, our review gives it the title Across the CYBERGULF, Problems and Solutions Concerning Cybercrime Between China and Taiwan. And obviously most people will be very well aware of the history between these two differing nations because of what happened in 1949. The Greater China region includes the People's Republic of China and Taiwan. This is East Asia, and as one commentator has put it, it is the heartland of the variegated scams of the cybercrime problem. Now obviously many people will probably see China and Taiwan basically the same, but they're not. Of course they're quite different. It's really quite an exciting book from Elgar. It plies its way through vast areas of uncharted waters in the international fight against cybercrime, which is an important area for all of us. And we will be well aware of what the Chinese have tried to do in the past in terms of trying to block certain things which they don't appreciate or approve of. So what we say, it's a work of original research which will go some way to establishing a common understanding internationally of how to combat what has become a global problem, calling for a global solution, and thus requiring a greater degree of cross-border cooperation between nation states. That, of course, is the fundamental international problem which faces the world, and until such time as some agreement will be made, we're just going to continue with really serious problems developing in some countries. Because in the case of Taiwan and China, we've got two different nation states with different and opposing political systems and a history of mutual suspicion and hostility. So it's encouraging that at least some form of cross-border cooperation has evolved between the two countries, as both of them find themselves battling against the common problem. In the words of the author, Lennon, Yao-Chung, Chang, this book highlights the potential scale of cybercrime, the limits of the existing legal regulatory response, and the potential for damage resulting from the limited cooperation between Taiwan and China. And obviously that in itself is an important point. So we think that anyone interested in or involved with cybercrime related issues, from lawyers to sociologists, criminologists and IT professionals, will be fascinated by this book. Researchers in the field will no doubt rejoice at the extensive footnoting, part of which I've indicated, and the 17 pages of references. It seems that Chang, following his fieldwork in Taiwan, China and Hong Kong, has compiled an amazing bibliography on this subject, so you don't have to do it yourself. So it's very useful from an academic perspective. As a research tool, we say, alone, this book has certainly earned its place in every professional and academic library. So can I thank Professor Chang and Edward Elgar for producing what is an important 21st century publication. Bye-bye.